What happened in qualifying for the Mexico City Grand Prix? Oh my goodness me. Now, before we dive into that, we do have to mention that the P1 live show tickets are available. They have been put live for a couple of days. We're going to Manchester, Glasgow and London. The 3rd of December for Manchester, the 5th of December for Glasgow and the 10th of December for London. The link will be in the description if you're on YouTube, and it will also be all over our socials, so go and check them out because the tickets are selling fast. I would hate for you to miss out. So go and do that. And yes, we'll hopefully see you at one of our amazing end of season live shows. Right, let's move into Q1 then, shall we? Where Ocon, Magnussen, Stroll, Norris and Sargent were out. And obviously, the big scalp, Lando Norris, starting all the way back in I think it'll be 18, won't it? After Yuki Tsunoda, of course, takes his back of the grid penalty. Logan Sargent, I think Logan might have to even go to the FIA and be like, please, can I race? Because I don't think he actually put a lap time on the board.
He did not.
So yes, but Norris was the massive scalp, wasn't
he? He was, yeah. It's a big shock. Obviously, he mentioned that they tried that medium tyres for their first run, and then something went wrong. They didn't complete the lap. But I personally don't see that as an excuse because Lando still had time to do a lap. The Ferraris did the medium thing as well, and it kind of worked out for them, and other teams tried it. So I don't really see that's an excuse. It's a shame for Lando because we've said this many times, like he does have this in him where he can make those errors when he's pushing flat out, and when you only get one run and you mess it up, you're in big trouble because the field is unbelievably close, despite us complaining that it's the worst, one of the most uncompetitive seasons ever. But the fact is, the whole grid is separated by just over a second. So when you make a mistake that costs you a second, you're literally going from challenging at the front to not even making it out and being last. So bad times for Lando.
Question from Jones RF873. Where can Lando realistically finish starting from the back? Well, this track is unfortunately one of the worst on paper for just generally racing. So but if we're going to look towards the front, that might actually be a good thing, but we will see. But in terms of for Lando Norris, I think he'll be happy if he scores in the tail end of the points, to be honest with you. That's probably where I think they'll be aiming. But, you've got the Ferraris that have outperformed unbelievably. You've got an Alpha Tauri of Daniel Ricciardo looking incredibly quick, but then you've got the McLarens, the Mercedes, even the Alfa Romeos are up there. There's a lot of competitive cars that have sort of come out of nowhere compared to what we usually see as the pecking order, and that might make things quite difficult for Lando.
It's all going to come down to really like a safety car, or if there's not a safety car, we saw. You can say that Lando could go hard tyres and then go as long as he possibly wants, but the problem is, and this is something we saw with Red Bull in Singapore, that if you do start on the hard tyres and we get a safety car and everyone started on the mediums, that's their opportunity to go, thank you very much, I'll now run the hards for the rest of the race, and then they get a free pit stop and you've been absolutely shafted. So it'd be interesting to see what McLaren decide to do, and it will just be a case of he's going to have good pace. It's just going to be whether he gets a good luck with a bit of strategy, because if he does go a bit of good luck, yeah, he might find himself maybe even like a 5th or 6th, but if he gets screwed by strategy, then he's going to be lucky to get some points.
Let's move to Q2 now, and out were Gasly, Hulkenberg, Alonso, Albon and Tsunoda. And I think the big talking point from Q2 was Albon. We had this hype train chewing all the way to the potential Q3 station, and Albon was saying throughout almost the whole of qualifying that it felt like it was a completely different car. He thought that maybe there was some sort of damage. In FP3 he wasn't he second?
Second and FP1. We went from basically thinking that they could be top 5 maybe, and then it was like, oh, they're even going to get into Q2 here. So then when he'd made it into Q3, it was like, actually, this is actually a really good a good thing, but alas, track limits, and a very weird track limits one actually. Like, not many people cut turn 2 enough for you to get a penalty there. So he must have absolutely flown over. We never actually saw the exterior.
He was shaking his head, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he was not happy at all with that.
No, so bad times for Albon because boy was he hyped going into that session.
Other drivers to talk about, obviously Tsunoda, but it didn't really matter. He's starting at the back due to the power unit change, but he was helping Daniel Ricciardo both through Q1 and Q2, but I don't think Danny Rick really needed it, to be honest. He was
later,
flying throughout all of the qualifying sessions. So Yuki doing the teammate job there. Alonso, I mean, what a sad fall from grace to not have Fernando Alonso mixing it with the Hamiltons and the whoever else, even the Verstappens that we saw at the start of the year. Now he's mixing it in with the bottom of the midfield, and it's just not where he belongs, is it? And he made that massive mistake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've gone from Alonso diving up the inside at Hamilton at the Bahrain hairpin, and us talking about, God, he's definitely going to win a race this year. That Aston's absolutely incredible, and now he's, barely making it. Almost seems like he's scraping into Q2 now. His teammate is obviously unable to do that now, and he's also having mistakes, which kind of makes you think that, boy, is he no longer able to. He's clearly overdriving the car, hoping for some kind of miracle, and that's not happening anymore because they are just falling.
Let's move to Q3 now, and let's bask in the glory of one of the most out-of-nowhere pole positions for Charles Leclerc that I think I have ever been a part of. I say been a part of like I'm part of the Ferrari team, but you know what I mean. But watching, I have absolutely no idea where that came from. A Ferrari 1-2 as well. What scenes?
Absolutely unbelievable scenes. I was just actually getting the result up from Q2 because, you were talking about it came out of nowhere. They were 6th and 9th in Q2, and we were talking about, my God, Ferrari are absolutely nowhere. What's going on? And then even when they went 1-2, I think everyone, including ourselves, were just like, well, this must be new tyres and everyone else is on used, and that it will kind of shuffle back into the order. But no, they decided to lock out the front row on the track where it's the worst place to be.
Hey,
sorry to burst the bubble.
It's fine. It's fine. Hopefully they'll have a chat about how they're going to deal with turn 1, because I feel like Carlos Sainz might get in the slipstream of Charles Leclerc and then we could see some fireworks, but hopefully not. Question from O2 Rachel D. How can Ferrari all of a sudden gain that much in Q3 when they haven't shown much hope all weekend? Look, you've asked us. I don't even think Ferrari themselves know. I mean, Charles Leclerc, with his post-quali interview, was sort of quite bewildered about the pace and looked quite visibly shocked that he was on pole position. Sometimes it just clicks, right? The setup, the conditions. We joked about Williams, but sometimes the conditions can go into your favour with a certain setup. And I don't know how both Ferraris have clicked so in sync with each other, and both Sainz and Leclerc became qualifying gods at the same time. But they did, and I'll absolutely take it, and I'd love to see it for the rest of time. Yeah,
you do wonder what's caused that, just for them both at the same time. Maybe the track rubbering in, or for whatever reason. But yeah, they just were unbelievable. Couldn't believe it when I think we saw like Max didn't have that purple sector, and we're like, oh, who's that gone to? And then it was like, oh, it's Sainz and Leclerc, and then incredible stuff from them. And then right at the end, actually, they didn't even improve from those first runs. So you're like, oh, well, Verstappen's surely gonna take it, but alas, he didn't. And 0.09 separating the top 3. Quali is just so damn good this year.
A question from P1 Patreon member James BWFC22. Did Max purposely mess up his last lap to make sure he got P3? Being P3 on the run down to turn 1 is surely the best place to be. No, I don't think in the slightest. I think, we talk about that, and P3 is obviously a very good position to be in, but there's lots of factors to take into account as well. Like, yeah, okay, you might want to start P3, but that's taken into account whether you get a good start. If you don't get a good start, all of a sudden you're getting mobbed by the cars behind that also have a lovely slipstream from the cars in front. So I wouldn't say that Max would have done anything like that. He wants to take pole, he wants to win, he wants to destroy every single person at all times.
Max has been very good this year, but for him to have purposely judged a 0.09 deficit to get P3, he's not that good.
Very fair point. Very fair point. Now, I want to get to another part of the Q3 that gives me almost just as much joy as Charles Leclerc getting pole position, and that is Daniel Ricciardo in an Alpha Tauri dropping it next to Max Verstappen on the second row of the grid in P4, out-qualifying Perez in a Red Bull. What? How? Why? When? Where? And who is Daniel Ricciardo?
How he's got that Alpha Tauri there is pretty incredible, because I was worried actually that it was all down to the slipstream, and maybe when he didn't have Yuki there doing the slipstream in turn one, he might lose a bunch of time, but he's absolutely incredible. Like, to be 2/10 off pole in an Alpha Tauri, this team is bottom of the Constructors' Championship, and he's 2/10 off pole and 1 place behind Max. He's split the Red Bulls that are leading the championship. Is an unbelievable performance.
Question from We Are Boo. Is Perez under serious threat after Danny's quali performance, or are we getting too ahead of ourselves? Look, it's exciting. It's an amazing performance from Daniel. I think if he beats Perez tomorrow, that's a whole new conversation that we need to have. But right now, it's a feather in Danny's cap. I don't think he has the seat for next year, as much as we can think about that. But yeah, it's just something to be commended, isn't it?
It is, and we need to see. The most frustrating thing, I think, is that, and this will be the case for fans of Daniel Ricciardo, is we've not got to really see too much. There'll be a lot of people that go, "Oh, you're just making excuses for him because you like him and stuff." Like, he's returned to the sport, but he's not really had enough time to bed himself in. And he's returned, and the one kind of weekend of the year where he gets to have 3 practice sessions, and then get into quali, he's just really, really delivered. So if he can do the same in, P4 would be insane for him to continue that, but even just getting into like Q3 and stuff, if he does that in Brazil and Vegas and Abu Dhabi, then yeah, the pressure will be on for Perez, definitely.
Certainly will. And finally, we've got to commend a couple of other drivers, and they both drive for Alfa Romeo. Valtteri Bottas and Zhou Guanyu 9th and 10th. Although I'm kind of a little bit like, Bottas, I think you left a little bit on the table there, son. It genuinely felt like Bottas could have mixed it with the other drivers, especially in the sort of like maybe 6th, 7th, 8th sort of region. But in the end, 3.5 tenths off the back of George Russell in P8, and I don't know, it's weird. Bottas 9th, you think, oh, that's a great performance, but he looked quicker than that, I'd say.
Yeah, it's strange because, 9th on paper is really good, but in Q1, for example, he was quicker than Sainz, he was quicker than Perez, he was quicker than Hamilton. So yeah, he was performing brilliantly, and then for whatever reason, going into that final session, the Alphas have finished a long way off, really 8 tenths off pole, and there's a big 3/10 gap as well, more than 3 tenths actually, between Russell and them. So they were easily last, but still a great result. And Haas are going to be a little bit worried seeing 2 Alphas and Daniel Ricciardo in that top 10 when they are currently, heading the points and stuff, thanks to maybe Hulkenberg's heroics at the start of the year and bagging some points. But that kind of fight for this is where we are in the championship. The fight for last, but there's stuff to... I'm losing my voice as well.
And mate, I literally was just listening to you and it just slowly... I thought it was just going to be a wisp at the end.
I know, I was like, do I carry on the sentence or do I just cough? And then I was not getting there. So, yes, I've lost my voice.
Okay, good point. Good point. Thanks, Tommy. We'll end it there. Actually, no, we won't, because we're going to ask for your final thoughts. Tommy, let's see if you can finish your final thoughts before your voice goes.
Final thoughts are... that in a weird way, despite the biggest practice complainer of all time, I've actually enjoyed the weekend, that it's almost felt a bit novel after a couple of sprints, and that we've kind of got into the weekend. It's been nice and chilled, and then we get into qualifying and it's this big epic thing, and it's made us nice and excited for the race tomorrow, and it's just one day. Thank you.
It's all about the build-up, the foreplay, Tommy. You know what I mean? And that is it. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. And don't forget, we've got our live shows, so go and check them out if you haven't already. And we'll see you very soon. Lots of love. Bye!
Bye!